Good morning, everybody. Jade Hamilton here, and happy Reborn Sunshine Yellow Saturday to you. I've got Kian with me today, and he's very on theme because he's got a bright, my little Kian William, he's got a bright yellow jumper on that says smile in white, sort of fluffy materials, pliqued on. And he's got the saffron yellow pants on that have got black and white line drawings of, I think they're cats on them. And he's got a yellow and white striped bib on with blue edging that says "Feed me" in big letters. So he is very, very on theme indeed. Um, Reborn Sunshine Yellow Saturday is run by my good friend Tamara at Once Upon a Nursery. She's a lovely, lovely lady with lots of lovely babies. She's full of fun. Do go and check her out if you haven't already, because she deserves as many subs as possible. She's lovely, and her videos will make your day. I'm also going to read the home stretch of the Pinballs, but before I do that, I'm also going to give you some exciting news. I am expecting today a new cub in my house. This cub was a total surprise because, unlike the rest of them, it wasn't bought by me, it was given by my best friend's partner, who sort of, bless them, they decided, I was feeling, it was my birthday earlier this week, as you probably know, and the day afterward I was feeling a little bit sort of low for various reasons. So, out of the kindness of their heart, my best friend's wonderful partner bought me a bear, which is incredibly sweet of them. I know nothing about this cub. I don't know whether they're a boy, a girl, what, but I am so excited. You would hardly believe it, honestly. It's taking all my energy not to float up to the ceiling. I'm that excited. And when this little one arrives, I'll be sure to let you know who they are and how we're getting on. And with that done, we'll do the home stretch of the Pinballs. As per all videos where I read, all copyright goes to Betsy Byers and HarperCollins. I own nothing. Grab a hot drink if you've got one, make yourself comfy, and we'll begin. We're on chapter 16. Harvey watched his father coming up the walk. There was no expression on Harvey's face. Everyone had always told him he looked exactly like his dad, and he realised it was true. Yet inside he'd always felt more like his mother. Well, how's it going, son? Alright, hang on. Oh, sorry, I think we already read this bit. Let me move. Oh, sorry, I realised we've already read this chapter. Oh, dear. Excuse me while I find my place, guys. Talk amongst yourselves. Chapter 18. Chapter 19. Chapter 20. Carly and Thomas J. were sitting on the front steps, waiting for Mrs. Mason and Harvey to get back from the hospital. I knew there was something wrong as soon as I saw those toes, Carly was saying. I didn't see them, but I knew something was wrong. I hope they just had to give him a shot or some pills. His birthday's Friday. I don't know when my birthday is, Thomas J said. Well, mine's August the 7th, and don't forget it. That's just 3.5 weeks away. I won't forget. Even if I'm gone, send me something. I'll be glad to. And I'll make you up a birthday. You can have the same day as me if you want. August 7th. All right. Thought of his own birthday made him smile to himself. And how old do you want to be? 8? 9? 9 sounds good. 9 it is. She looked up across the street. I wonder what's keeping them. It's been 2 hours. Even I could give a shot in less than 2 hours, and I haven't even had nurses training yet. Maybe you'll have to stay in the hospital like the Benson twins. Thomas J's good feeling about having a birthday and being 9 left him. Well, if he does, I sure hope they'll take care of him. One of them died. I know. When I get to be a nurse, none of my patients are going to die. I'm going to make it real clear. No dying. I'll get to be like a good luck nurse. People will ask for me, especially really sick people, because they'll know my number one rule: no dying. She got to her feet. Here they come. Oh, it's only Mrs. Mason. She ran to the driveway. Where's Harvey? They're keeping him in the hospital. The leg's infected. Is it bad? It's pretty bad, Carly. And the worst thing is, sorry. They're keeping him in the hospital. The leg's infected. Is it bad? It's pretty bad, Carly. And the worst thing is that he just doesn't seem to care. It's that father of his. When I get my driver's license, I'm going looking for him. Now, Carly. Well, Harvey's been like that ever since his father came for that stinking visit. The man's got problems, Carly. Sure, the man's got problems. Everybody's got problems. Only they don't run over their kids' legs because of them. She turned to Thomas J. Well, we'll go see him right after supper and cheer him up. I'm not very good at that sort of thing, Thomas J. said, recalling his failure with the Bensons. Well, you better get good at it pretty quick. I am not going to have Harvey being in misery for his birthday this Friday. I was planning to bake him a cake. You can still beat the cake and take it to the hospital, Mrs. Mason said. It won't be the same. A birthday away from home is bad enough, but a birthday in the hospital? Woo! My birthday's coming up in 3.5 weeks, and I'd better be home for it. I'd better get a floating opal, too. She started for the kitchen. And Thomas' birthday's the same as mine. Isn't it, Thomas J? Yes. And you're going to be 9, aren't you, Thomas J? Yes, 9, he said firmly. He followed her into the kitchen. Chapter 21. Harvey was in a room to himself. He was, as Carly had known he would be, staring up at the ceiling. When Carly and Thomas J entered, they bumped into each other. They'd known they would look bad. They'd known he would look bad, but not that bad. Well, look who's come to visit you, Carly said. Harvey turned his head to them. There was no expression on his face, but his lips were a straighter line than usual. How are you feeling? Carly asked, coming closer. All right? All right. Want you to roll up your bed? She asked. I love to do that. When I get to be a nurse, I'm going to spend all my time rolling people up and down. No thanks. Okay. Oh, well, want to drink water then? Look, Thomas J, they've got special straws that bend. The Benson twins had those. Carly shot him a hard look. Want to drink, Harvey? No? Well, can I have one then? I haven't got anything catching. As she bent to drink, she exclaimed, Hey, I'm going to have a surprise for you on your birthday. I'm not telling you what it is, but I'm making it myself. She paused, waited, then asked, Want to guess? No. Okay, I'm giving. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my place here. Um, mm. I'm gonna have a surprise. Hey, I'm gonna have a surprise for you on your birthday. I'm not telling you what it is, but I'm making it myself. She paused, waited, then asked, "Want to guess?" No. Huh. Okay, I'll give you a hint. This thing I'm going to give you is very useful, and it's also a thing of great beauty. Go ahead, try and guess. Harvey was silent. Ask me questions. Come on. Ask me things like, what colour is it? What colour is it? Ah, the guessing is underway. The colours are black and white and pink and yellow. He looked at Thomas J and grinned. Thomas J looked so puzzled that she leaned down and whispered, "It's a chocolate cake with white icing, pink candles and yellow flames. Now don't give it away." She sat at the foot of the bed, waiting. Harvey was looking at the ceiling. "I don't think he's going to guess," Thomas J said. Carly said, "Well, if you really don't want to, we'll just wait and let it be a surprise." She moved around the bed. "Oh, guess what happened today? This was so stupid. The phone rang and I picked it up and said, 'Hello,' and this girl's voice said, 'Hi, how are you?' I said, 'Oh, I'm fine, how are you?' And she said, 'Fine, what are you doing?' And I said, 'Nothing much, how about you?' I said, She said, 'I'm watching TV, only nothing good's on.' I said, 'It never is.' And then there was a real long pause. Then there was a real long pause, and she said in a kind of funny voice, 'You know, I think I have the wrong number. Is this Marcy?' And I said, 'No, it's Carly.' And we hung up. I should have known nobody in this town would call me. Wasn't that the stupidest thing? I almost died." Harvey didn't answer. Thomas J cleared his throat and said, "Mr. Mason's going to take me fishing." "And you too, Harvey, once as soon as your legs are well," Charlie said. "Although if it was me and I knew I'd have to go fishing when I got cured, I'd probably just stay on in the hospital." There was a pause, and then Carly said, "Hey, did I show you my decals?" She held out her hands and let them drop. "Oh, yeah, I did. Anyway, I'm glad you get to see them this afternoon, because when I was making peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches for me and Thomas J, I dropped some mayonnaise on my nails and the decals melted." She held out her hand. "It's probably something in the mayonnaise." There was another silence. Carly was still trying to think of something to say when the nurse put her head in the door. "Visiting hours are over." "We just got here," Carly protested. "You can come back tomorrow. Just give me 5 more minutes," she said. She could not bear to leave here without cheering Harvey up. She looked at him. His face was still turned to the ceiling. She wanted to say something funny. She wanted to make Harvey laugh out loud. "Thomas J. Thomas J. she said through her teeth. He shrugged helplessly. Carly knew she was on her own. She tried to think of something funny that had happened to someone else. Then she could turn it round and say it happened to her. She did that all the time. But now her mind was blank. "Well, we better go," she said. She leaned over the bed. "Listen, everything will be all right," she said. "I promise it will." Then she turned to Thomas J and said, "Come on, The nurse will be chasing us out of here with hypodermic needles in a minute. They walked down the hall and out the front door of the hospital. Well, Thomas J., you and me are failures at being cheer-uppers. I always have been, he said. Well, I haven't. I expected better of myself. Carly pulled her shoulders back. Listen, all right. You think of something funny, of funny things to say and talk about, and I'll do the same. Tomorrow will be funny enough to go on Hollywood Squares. I won't. She turned and grabbed him by the shoulders. Listen, tomorrow we are going to say funny things, and I mean it. Right? Right, Thomas J. answered. Chapter 22. It was Thursday night, and Harvey was worse. Now he wouldn't even speak to anyone. The nurses had started feeding him through a tube in his arm. Harvey's father had come on Wednesday and sat with him for over an hour. He told the doctors in a loud voice that money was no object. He told them they could spend whatever they had to, and he would foot the bill. He said he'd just gotten a contract to build an 8-unit townhouse. We're doing all we can now, the doctors had answered. Carly was furious when she heard about it. You mean they let that rotten bum come in Harvey's room? It's his father, Carly. Woo! The next thing you know, they'll be bringing germs and viruses in. They'll be letting germs and viruses in. That night, when everyone was in bed at the Mason house, Carly got up. She slipped into Thomas J's room and shone a flashlight on his face. You asleep? He put up his hand to block the light. No, I was just lying here thinking. About Harvey? Yeah, I'm used to him being on the bottom bunk and shifting around and all, and I can't get to sleep without him. It's too quiet. Me either. Now I got an idea. You want to go in cahoots with me? Thomas J wasn't sure what that was, but he said, I'd be glad to. All right, look, I went through the newspaper after supper, and guess what I found in the ads? What? Look, it's right here. She shone the light on the folded newspaper. Can you read it? Thomas J bent closer to the paper. Carly was too impatient for his eyes to focus. Too impatient to wait for his eyes to focus. She read it herself. Puppies free to good homes. Puppies? Yeah, Thomas J. We're going to go right over there first thing in the morning and get Harvey a puppy. Thomas J couldn't seem to take it in. A puppy? Yeah, he's always wanted one, remember? It was the first thing on his list. And it will cure him, Thomas J. I know it will. Why, if I was in the hospital half dead and somebody hooked a floating opal around my neck, I'd get up and do the hula. He broke off, and the best part is they're free. See? Free to good homes. But is this a good home? If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for a dog, isn't it? What about Mrs. Mason? Though? She might get mad. I'll take all the responsibility. I'm used to people being mad at me. It didn't bother me a bit. I'll say I forced you to come with me, and no, I want to come on my own. She can get mad at me too. All right then. After breakfast, we'll go over to Wooden Circle, wherever that is, and we'll take a shopping bag. See, we'll take a shopping bag. See, we'll have to sneak him into the hospital, and we'll pick out a puppy and take him over to the hospital and pull him out and sing "Happy Birthday to you." How does that sound? It sounds good to me. I know it'll cure him. I mean, who's going to sit there staring at the ceiling when the puppy's licking his face? It just can't be done. What if the puppy doesn't lick him though? Well, we'll pick one that will. After all, there's bound to be how many puppies in a litter? 6? 7? There's bound to be one licker. At the door, she paused and said, "Not a word of this to Mrs. Mason. Do you hear me?" "Yes?" "Or Mr. Mason." Carly sensed the bond that had grown between them. There was a pause then. "All right. See you in the morning." Chapter 23. Carly and Thomas J. walked slowly down the hospital hall with the shopping bag between them. "I wish he wasn't such a wiggler," Carly said, looking straight ahead. That's what that's why you picked him, because he was the liveliest one." "I know, but I feel like we've got a tiger in there the way the bag's shaking. I'm afraid he's going to bust out the bottom." "If he wets, I know he will." "Don't even think such things," Carly said. "And remember, every time you see a nurse, get in front of the bag. Nurses are known for their sharp eyes. Doctors aren't. We could bring an elephant in here and the doctors wouldn't notice." Thomas J. and Carly went straight to Harvey's room. "Shut the door! Shut the door!" Carly said quickly. She ran over to Harvey's bed. He was staring at the ceiling. "Hey, it's just me, Carly. You can look at me in safety. I'm not wearing one of my famous halters." He turned his eyes to her. "See, I lied." She grinned. "I've got on my shocking pink one. Your favourite." Before he could look back at the ceiling, she said, "Hey, we brought you something." Harvey didn't speak. "And I'm not even going to make you guess. I'm just going to tell you that it's fat, spotted, wiggly, and that it has a tail and a pink nose, and that he's dying to get out of the shopping bag." She reached down and brought up the puppy. "Ta-da! Puppy time!" Carly nudged Thomas J. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harvey. Happy birthday to you." There was a silence. Thomas J. said, "We wanted a white one so you could name him Snowball, but they all had spots on them." Carly sat the puppy on the bed beside Harvey. She nudged him forward. Delighted to be out of the bag, the puppy rushed for the nearest face, Harvey's, and began licking his neck. Carly looked at Thomas J. and rolled her eyes upward. "Thank goodness," she mouthed. Harvey didn't move. Don't you like him, Harvey? Thomas J asked. It was the first present that he'd ever been in on. He wanted more than anything that it be a success. He's real nice and fat too, Thomas J said. Feel him. Yeah, pleasing you chump is not the word. And soft too, Thomas J said. Harvey did not move. Thomas J squinted up at Carly. Should we sing the birthday song again? Suddenly Harvey lifted his hand. He laid it on the puppy. I don't think so, Carly grinned. Harvey spoke for the first time in 2 days. Is this for me? He asked. Compliments of Carly and Thomas J. Carly said, It's mine? Yeah, it's your birthday present. We picked it out special. Permanently. Sure, what kind of gift do you think me and Thomas J give? If I wanted to give you something unpermanent, we'd have gotten a popsicle. I can keep him. Yeah, sure, what else? As a matter of fact, he's unreturnable. The puppy was wriggling against Harvey's neck, and suddenly Harvey started to cry. It was the first time he'd cried since the accident. It was like the turning on of a spigot. He sobbed, and the tears rolled down his cheeks in streams. The puppy, wild with all the excitement, licked up all the tears. Go ahead and cry all you want to, Carly said happily. You got your own personal crying towel now. He turned to Thomas J. You know, when I get to be a nurse every morning, I'm going to bring a basket of puppies to the hospital with me. They're better than pills. Harvey was still crying. It just makes me feel so. He broke off. I don't know. It's just that I didn't think. I don't know how I feel. He cried again. The nurse on the floor was passing the door and heard the commotion. She stuck her head in the room. Under the covers, quick! Carly said, poking the puppy under the sheet. What's going on in here? Believe it or not, Carly said, we are having a wonderful time. The nurse kept looking at Harvey. She said, Harvey, are you all right? Yes, you laughing or crying? Both, I guess. The nurse kept standing there. She noticed the bulge under the sheet. She decided to ignore it. This was the first time Harvey had shown any sign of life in 2 days. You want anything? She asked. No. Cokes, Carly hissed. Oh, yeah. Could me and my friends have a Coke? Harvey asked. It's my birthday. He wiped his remaining tears on the sheet. Of course. Want to see what I got for my birthday? My friends gave it to me. Don't, Carly started to say, but Harvey reached under the sheet and pulled out the puppy before she could Now you know better than to have a puppy in here, the nurse said. Why, if I'd seen that puppy, I would have sent him out right this minute. Yes'm, she smiled. I'll bring those cokes. She started out the door and then leaned back in. And many happy returns of the day, Harvey. Thank you. As the door closed, he held out the puppy so he could get a good look, now that his eyes were dry. This is the best puppy I have ever seen. Thomas J and I only give the best, Charlie said. There were six of them, Thomas J said. But this one came running over and started licking us, and we knew it was the one for you. Carly said, listen, don't think the puppy is all you're getting for your birthday, though. I'm making my famous chocolate mayonnaise cake and bringing it over tonight. And you will bring the puppy back then, too. Listen, the puppy is not so easy to lug around, Carly said. If you want to do any real playing with him, you have to get out of this hospital. I will, Harvey said, but you will bring him tonight. If, Carly said, Mrs. Mason will lend me her tote bag. Chapter 24. Well, that's what's known as a successful gift, Carly said. They were walking home from the hospital with the puppy between them. Yeah. Carly threw back her head and breathed in the morning air. You know, Thomas J, I just feel real good. This is probably what it feels like to be famous. Famous? Yeah. Hey, get the puppy, will you? He's going under the bushes. She waited and said, like one time, Harvey was making one of his lists and he was deciding how he wanted to be famous. He said that one day everybody will be famous for 15 minutes, and he was figuring out what he wanted his 15 minutes to be like. What did he decide? Thomas Jane paused to pull the puppy back on the sidewalk. This is really a nice little puppy. Oh, I can't remember. I think he wanted to be an astronaut and land on the moon, something like that, or write a bestseller. Anyway, the point is, Thomas J, this is probably what we'll feel like when we get to be famous, when we get famous. Yeah, a preview of coming attractions. Nice feeling, isn't it? I think this puppy's getting to know me. Look how he follows. Anyway, Carly went on. Until I do get famous, Thomas J, 15 minutes like this every now and then will keep me going. They could see the Mason's house in the distance, and they both got silent. Finally, Thomas J said, how are we going to tell Mrs. Mason what we did? I just think we're going to do it. He stopped. Write it in the air with a sparkler. She straightened. We're going to walk in and say, look what we got Harvey for his birthday. Anyway, don't worry about it. Anybody that would take us in isn't going to turn away a puppy. Plus the fact that Mrs. Mason has been real worried about Harvey. I heard them talking to Mr. Mason. It was like he was their real child. They were so worried. Harvey opened the screen door and went into the house. She could hear the mixer going in the kitchen. So she went in and said, Hey, look what we got Harvey for his birthday. She held up the puppy. She didn't sound as confident as she had when she'd been outside on the sidewalk. Mrs. Mason looked at the puppy. She wiped her hand on an apron. She said, "Now who thought of that?" "I did," Carly said. She stepped a little in front of Thomas J. "But I helped," Thomas J. said, expecting his part of the blame. "What a lovely thing for you to do!" Mrs. Mason came over and hugged Thomas J. and Carly, one in each arm. In the curve of her arm, Thomas J. felt like a stick. He wanted to say, "What a lovely thing for you to do too," but he couldn't. He remembered a talk he and Mr. Mason had had. You can't just blurt out things about love, they had decided, without some training. Thomas J. wished suddenly he had had some training. He thought of himself on an imaginary mother's lap. "Who do you love?" she would say. He would not know the answer. "Well, do you love Mama?" she would prompt. "Yes." "Then say it." "I love Mama." "Say it again, real loud." "I love Mama." Later, maybe, Thomas J. thought, with a little train from Mrs. Mason, he could learn to say something nice, even if it wasn't the word love. Mrs. Mason stepped back. "We'll have to tell Harvey about the puppy. It'll give him something to look forward to. We can take a picture of him with the Polaroid, and he already knows." "You didn't take it to the hospital?" "Yes." "Why, the nurses would have had a fit if they'd seen it." "No, there was this one real nice nurse. I'm going to copy myself after her. She saw it, but pretended not to," Mrs. Carly said. "And did it perk him up?" Mrs. Mason asked. "Oh, yeah, he cried at first," Carly said, "but it wasn't a bad sort of crying, and then he sat up. I rolled the bed in my best professional manner, and we all had cokes. It was a real happy occasion. Harvey needs a few of those. Listen, I'm going to make my famous mayonnaise cake. It's the best thing you ever ate, and you can't even taste the mayonnaise. And take it over. I'm going to put candles on it, silver decorates, the works. Listen, I've got an idea," Mrs. Mason said. "Why don't you two go down to the grocery store? They have pet supplies there, and get to a little collar, and a leash, and maybe a toy bone or something, and we'll wrap them up as gifts and take them over with the cake. And worm pills," Carly said. "That'll be funny. Come on, Thomas J." At the door, she paused. "This is going to be a really nice birthday," she grinned. "Just remember, me and Thomas J have one coming up in 3 weeks. Haven't we, Thomas J?" "Yes," Thomas J said. "August the 7th. Then she and Thomas J went out the door. Chapter 25. The remaining Benson twin, Thomas, died on Monday, and it was decided that Thomas J should have a haircut before going to the funeral. In the barber shop, he felt his first sadness about her death. He climbed into the chair, excited as his first real haircut, and the barber looked at him and said, "Who's been hacking at your hair, son?" in an uncomplimentary way. As soon as the barber said that, Thomas J. had been once again on the Benson farm, with the twins clipping away at his head as if it were a bush. He closed his eyes, lost in unhappiness. "There!" the twins would cry. They always finished at the same time. He never knew what he would look like until he got to the bathroom mirror. The barber brushed him off and said, "Now you're a real nice looking young man, if I do say so myself." Thomas J. had opened his eyes. Looking at the neatly trimmed boy in the mirror, the two halves the same at last, he had felt his sorrow draining from him. Now seated beside Mr. Mason in the car, he felt only pleasure in an outing with Mr. Mason. "Mr. Mason!" "What?" Thomas J. paused. "What is it, Thomas J.?" Thomas J. wanted to bring up some problem so that Mr. Mason would say, "I know how you feel, Thomas J., because the same thing happened to me. Let me tell you about it." Only Thomas J. couldn't think of a problem. "Oh, nothing," he said. He looked out the window. He saw the reflection of his own face, neatly framed in the new haircut. Did I ever tell you about the time my daddy took, took me to Bear Rocks and I got lost?" Thomas J. turned to him, his face bright. "No. Well, one time I was just about your age, and my daddy got the idea that we should." Thomas J. and Mr. Mason stood looking at the Benson twin in her coffin. She was wearing her good black dress and her cameo pin, the same outfit as she had worn. Mr. Mason put one hand on Thomas J.'s shoulder. "You know, Thomas J., they thought they were doing you a kindness when they took you in. You should always remember that." Thomas J. looked up at Mr. Mason. They were doing me a kindness." Mr. Mason nodded. "I'm sure they thought so." Thomas J. looked back at the Benson twin. Now dead at age 88, she actually resembled the president for whom she'd been named. "I'll remember," Thomas J. said. "Well, Thomas J.'s off to another funeral," Harley said, as she settled at the foot of the little bed of Harley's hospital bed. "It's a good thing they weren't triplets." Harvey was lying at with the head of his bed rolled up. "How's my dog?" Every time he mentioned his dog, he felt good. He'd even told his father when he came for a visit. "I have a dog now," he'd said, looking right into his father's eyes. All his father had said was, "That's all right." "Oh, your dog's fine," Hardy said. "He went on the paper 2 times yesterday. You know, Harvey, you're beginning to look like yourself again." "Too bad I can't look like somebody else." "Huh. Now I like the way you look. Hey, wait a minute. I've got an idea. Comb your hair down in bangs." "No, no, but I think you look really good in bangs." And push the glasses on the top of your head, Hollywood style. "I can't see without the glasses." "Well, I'll tell you how you look. Come on." There was a pause while Harvey brushed his hair over his forehead. Now put your glasses on your head. Carly looked at him with her head to one side. Harvey, she said. What? Put your glasses back on your face and your hair back on your head. With a faint smile, he brushed back his hair and put on his glasses. And one other thing, Harvey. What? Promise me you won't ever try to look like anybody but yourself again. Harvey smiled. I promise. Chapter 26. Carly and Thomas J were sitting on the steps of the elementary school building. The puppy was lying at their feet, resting from the walk. A fly landed on him and he twitched his ear to shake it off. The fly walked onto his forehead. The puppy raised his head and snapped at the fly. He watched as it flew away. Then he went back to sleep. Carly looked at Thomas J. Thomas J., this is where you'll go to school at the end of the month, he said. In this building? He looked around. Yeah, me and Harvey will be all over on Oak Street. Harvey swears he can help me pass maths, but I don't know. I'll be glad to go to this school. I'd like to go to nurses' school. The last school I went to was mostly made up of snobs. If you didn't have a certain kind of shoes or a certain kind of clothes, which I never had, nobody would speak to you. They sat in silence for a moment. Thomas J was still looking in admiration at his school. Carly reached out and rocked the puppy with her feet. You know, Thomas J, he said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get to our brains with an eraser? What? He looked at her puzzled. Did you say eraser? Yeah, I mean that there are things I don't want to remember, like, oh, times people snubbed me at school, times people made me feel bad, and if I could just erase some of those things, Thomas J, I'd be a lot happier. Wouldn't you like to have a brain as perfect as a melon? No bad spots at all. I don't have enough to remember, Thomas J said. Carly looked at him. Can't you remember your mother at all? No, well, sometimes I see a woman who's kind of fat. No, not fat, just kind of plump. No, just the kind of woman who looks like if, well, if you climbed up in her lap, well, you would be very comfortable. Oh, so every time I see a woman like that, and she has on a flowered dress, well, it makes me want to go over and stand beside her. You probably had a mother who had a comfortable lap and wore flowered dresses. Yes. It was a sigh. Carly was still looking at him. I could make you up a mother, Thomas J, like I made you up a Murphy. Thomas J hesitated. He was tempted. In his mind, the picture of the woman in the flowered dress sharpened. He could almost see her. Then abruptly he shook his head. But I wouldn't mind, Carly went on. I know, but I have a real mother, he said, somewhere. Me too, somewhere, Carly said, only she could care less. Thomas J looked at her in surprise. He said, I can imagine somebody not wanting me, but I can't imagine anybody not wanting you. She looked at him. Thomas J, that was a real nice thing for you to say. Thank you. A small smile came over his face. Anyway, Thomas J, when you get older, you couldn't find your mother. Being Pinballs is just the stage you're going through, and he squinted at her. I don't know what pinballs are. You've never played a pinball machine? Well, I'll tell you. I'll take you to this place in town I know, and we'll play. She looked up abruptly. No, I take that back, Thomas Jane. About me finding my mother? He asked, startled. No, I really think you can do that. About us playing pinballs? No, about us being pinballs. That's what I was wrong about. I'm talking about when you'll see what I'm talking about when you play the game. We are not pinballs. He grinned. Don't ever let anybody call you a pinball, Thomas J. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, nothing. It's just that pinballs can't help what happens to them, and you and me can. See, when I first came here, all I thought about was running away, only I never did it. He looked at Thomas J. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it was me deciding about my life. And now I have decided that when I go to this new school, I'm really going to try. And you're really going to try too, aren't you? He nodded. And as long as we're trying, Thomas J., we are not pinballs. They looked at each other. The fly had started bothering the puppy again, and he snapped at it. He got to his feet and looked around for something to chew. He tumbled over Carly's feet and grabbed Thomas J's sock. He began to tug. Carly stood up. It's time to go. Yes, yes, Thomas J said. He unhooked the puppy's teeth from his sock and got to his feet. Let's go home. Well, that was the last chapter of the Pinballs. I'm I'm hoping you enjoyed that. I get a lot of comments saying that you do, so it's really lovely to hear that. Thank you all so much for watching, subscribing, commenting. I really appreciate it when you do. It makes my day. And I will see you soon with another little cub for another story. Cheerio! Can you wave, Kian? Good boy. Cheerio, everybody.